All right, so we just released our Zero Entertainment video where basically I challenged myself to do 30 days of not watching any sort of entertainment, not playing any games. I sort of don't, I already don't play games, so that I didn't even think about it when I introduced that video. But I finished creating it and I uploaded it, and this is sort of my secondary, like, talk to the camera, spill out all the thoughts more in detail and less like script like discussion or just thoughts regarding the entertainment challenge. And we made a few notes for myself just in case, just very few actually, but let's go ahead and look at them. So I think one of the first things that I got asked when I told this to my friends, like while I was doing the challenge, was like, oh, how do you wind down? And like, what sort of, because it seems like everyone, I think it's a given that everyone sort of consumes entertainment. I think at this point, it's like 99.99% of people that do. That's just sort of how the world is. And, you know, I'm one of those people that have consumed so much entertainment. So I do totally understand my friend's question when they ask that, like how do you wind down if you're not watching entertainment? But for me, what I do these days is, because my work is mostly related to freelance and I have a good amount of control of my own schedule, I just take naps and I sometimes just talk with my girlfriend on the phone at night, or yeah, whenever I'm eating dinner, and I listen to a Japanese podcast that is designed, it's meant for educational purposes. So that was like an exception. It's like I would just listen to that because it was part of my 30-day challenge of learning Japanese using AI. AI recommended that I listen to this podcast like at least like 15 to 20 minutes. I think it was 20 minutes per day. So that's what I did. And it was part of that challenge. And that's why that was sort of like the only thing I actually, that might be considered entertainment, but it's mostly him just like, he is kind of entertaining, but it's also like he's talking completely in beginner Japanese and teaching us new words and all that stuff. So it was good for that. It sort of became a habit to do that during lunch. So that was like probably the one of two exceptions. I mentioned the other exception is where my girlfriend sometimes sent me like videos of like cute dogs or just a reel about something really quick that was cute. Always usually under like 30 seconds and very infrequent, like maybe once every like 2 weeks. So I think one of my friends asked my girlfriend at some point when she visited, like, oh, do you guys like watch stuff together? And she replied no. And my friend was so surprised because I think that's kind of a couple thing. Like couples watch a lot of entertainment with each other, just like TV shows, dramas, and all that stuff. And my girlfriend did mention that she wanted to watch a drama at some point together, but I told her like, I have no idea when that's gonna be. And she also joked around saying that because like, I just don't watch anything and I'm continuously doing this challenge. Today was a break though, because tomorrow I'll be flying back to Japan, and I just wanted to take a break before going, just to not think about any restrictions, not think about anything, because usually I'm kind of on a schedule of creating videos, practicing piano, practicing Japanese and all that stuff, but today was sort of just complete break. And honestly, even though it was a break, a part of me was feeling like, you know, I don't even feel like watching anything is what I thought when I was like, okay, it's a break, but I just don't feel like watching anything. I did end up watching ReZero season 3, just kept keeping up with that. I was actually trying to watch it without subtitles to practice my Japanese as well, just to make it more productive in a way. But for me, it's like, I almost feel as if my chemical balance, my internal chemical balance has changed like permanently from doing this for 2 phases. It's been, I think, 66 days of no watching any entertainment. There were breaks in between and also like a failed period. I guess we can talk about that a little bit. Like the first 2-day break was after my girlfriend visited, and it was like a week of doing things with her. So it became 35 days in a row after that period. And I was like, okay, let's just take a break. And my girlfriend also encouraged it, so that was a part of it. And then after doing that and then struggling to get back on for a little bit, we did fail at the Tesla Robotaxi event like we mentioned. And afterwards, yeah, that next day was so tiring. And I think that's what got me. It's like the back-to-back stuff of like the momentum of having watched that and being curious about it definitely got me. And yeah, I'd say after I got back on though is when I don't know, I was a little harsh on myself. I was like, you know, why did we fail these 3 days? Because I felt like we shouldn't have. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna get back on this, which we did. And like we said in the main video, it was 27 out of 30. But I think after that moment, I went back to the mode of like the first phase where the challenge itself is kind of easy again. It's sort of like, it's just how my life is now. Like I've sort of accepted, I'm not really accepted. I've embraced that I just don't really watch much of anything and I just do my stuff, you know? So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but once you're there, you just know that you're there and like, you just don't care that much about actually watching anything. But yeah, I still enjoyed watching the season of ReZero or the episode of ReZero, and I still enjoy it. It's just, I feel like no desire to do it. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to change. I don't know if something's going to make me as curious again. I certainly want to listen to Stormlight Archive Book 5 once it comes out, but I don't know how I'm going to do that with only a 2-day break because I'm sure that thing's going to be long as heck. And I listened to the audiobook version. I think number 4 was like 50 hours or something like that. So I'd have to like stay up the entire time for 2 days to actually listen to all of it. I mean, I can listen to it at 2 times speed, so like it's possible. But at the same time, I don't want to get back to the state that I was before the whole challenge where I was binging anime, I was watching so much stuff and listening to audiobooks, just like fantasy fiction, stuff like that. And yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad after I got back from Japan. There's like different phases in my life. Like obviously childhood, I watched so much stuff. I watched like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z like 3 times. There's like, I think 400 to 500 episodes of that. And back then I didn't know what filler meant. So as a kid, I just watched it like 3 times. I don't know why I did that. But definitely a huge anime fan back then. I'm a big fan of DC, big fan of comic book stories in general. Like I would watch YouTube. Comic Storian is the YouTube channel I listen to and watch all the time. And I even have my own, I bought a few comic books. I don't have too many, but I was a big fan basically. And I always loved watching like YouTube clips of like very, very great moments in movies, like in Dark Knight when Joker does that whole like pencil trick. Like I love that scene so much. I remember watching it occasionally, and like Key and Peele skits and all that stuff, getting caught up in watching so much of that. So for me, like for sure, my history is like a lot of consumption, probably too much, honestly. And there were periods where it was better though. I'd say the what was it? There was a good year or two, probably when I was like consuming a lot of self-improvement books, when I didn't watch as much stuff. It was sort of just like I watched YouTube and some weekly stuff occasionally. So it was still something, but it wasn't like nothing. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't like me the way I was when I got back from Japan. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. And that's what caused me to actually do the challenge in the first place. And I think it was really good that I ended up just fixing my balance. That's the whole point of the challenge, is to fix my balance so that I don't crave the entertainment and so that I don't keep wasting time on it. Even though I honestly think it's very inspiring and great. And like I make YouTube videos, you know, what kind of hypocrite would I be if I was like, oh yeah, all entertainment is bad and stuff like that, and I'm making videos for people to watch? No, that's not what I think. I don't think it's like inherently bad. I just think that for me personally, I can only speak from my own experience. It's like, this is how I lived my life, and this is what my life was like after I got back from Japan. It was really bad, and I felt bad, and I needed to change, and that's why I did the challenge. Not because entertainment is bad, because my relationship with it and how I was interacting with it got bad. So yeah, it's not for everyone. You know, everyone has a different relationship with it. Like I said in the main video, like I think most people do kind of perhaps overconsume entertainment, but I do feel like it really depends on what you want, because like if you're just if your goals are aligned with that, right? Like say you also create YouTube videos or create videos in general, like most of what I create or most of why I started creating was because I watched YouTube. It's because I got inspired by other people creating those things. So it's like, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a bad thing at all. So people could be watching for those purposes. There's a lot of good reasons to consume entertainment media and all that stuff. But yeah, there's also bad things, and there's also overdoing it as well. So if you feel the same way I did previously, I do recommend trying it out. But again, it's my experience. It's my sort of like story in terms of how I got into Zero Entertainment for this new mode, and I'm just like trying to do my best to stick with it because I feel like I'm more productive. I'm just a better person. I feel healthier and I feel more mentally well and just like better overall. Like I feel like my quality of life has improved substantially thanks to like staying away from it. And like I said, now I'm just like, I feel like it's not hard. It's literally just exist, and then I have succeeded with the day and the challenge and the habit. So that's really good. And yeah, I just want to make sure basically I'm not creating this content or trying to send a message to people, the wrong message. I'm not trying to send the wrong message of saying like entertainment is bad and you should stop watching it or whatever. Like that is not at all what I'm trying to say. But I will say though, I do feel like there's a collective sort of thought about entertainment, and I feel like I learned it because when I was talking to my friend about it, and I was saying how like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep it up just 30 days and then take a break for about 2 days and get back on it, be productive and all that stuff. And my friend was like, oh, that seems a little bit too strict, too harsh. You know, why don't you live a little bit? And I feel like that line is a bit indicative of like how some people see entertainment. It's like this thing that, you know, makes you feel alive and all that stuff. But like, honestly, all the stuff I've been doing makes me feel way more alive than consuming entertainment. Just like creating things, working on my projects, studying Japanese, just all the things I'm doing. It feels great, honestly. It's like, this is how I'm living. So I don't know. It's an interesting way of viewing it, I would say. But in terms of just the whole overview of the whole thing, yeah, that's how my life has been with entertainment. That's how my relationship has been. Just a lot of good experiences with it, but it becoming a little bit, overtaking my life a little bit, and then me just stepping away from it. And I'd say like, I even have like a channel that I made and brought friends into and started talking about like shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of my favorite shows of all time. We talked about a lot of superhero movies and Marvel and DC stuff because we're all fans of it. And we talked about just a whole bunch of entertainment stuff, basically a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it. And that's like how involved and how like in it I was, you know? So for me to have stepped back, it was definitely hard at first, and it required a lot of effort initially, like right before doing the challenge, and just like convincing myself to like stick with it and everything like that. So yeah, but after you just commit, it really does get easier. And yeah, I don't know. I did give some practical advice with the whole like going on YouTube and pausing your watch history, clearing it first and then pausing it, and then YouTube doesn't recommend you anything. And then what else is there? Basically, yeah, as long as I don't, even though I sit in the same spot as when I used to watch entertainment and eat dinner, like at first for the first 35 days, I didn't do that just to avoid like the feeling. But now that sometimes I do, and I don't get the feeling, it's just like, it doesn't matter where I am. Like I just don't feel like it, I guess. Like at this point, that's sort of how it's become. So it really does work. Like just changing the normal. That was the whole point of it, is flipping the normal and making it like, this is the normal me where I'm productive and I do my stuff and do everything I want, and I'm really, really like liking it, like it's healthy. I have no, like, it doesn't hurt me. I don't need that like relaxation or living a little bit, but again, this is like personally for me. So yeah, I guess that's why I feel that this way now. It's like, because it did work. The whole point of the challenge did work. And I think that's kind of empowering, right? Because even though I'm feeling this way now, like where it's so normal that I feel like it's kind of bad that I talked about it so late. I should have talked about it while I was in the challenge, or like a week after it, or like a month, or maybe after I finished the first 35 days. I should have talked to the camera then. But like now that I have been in it for so long, it feels so normal that I'm like, I feel like I'm downplaying it. I'm kind of like, it's not really, I don't know. It's like the feeling and the empowering feeling and the change like already happened. So it's harder to talk about it enthusiastically now. Jeez. That's one thing I have to fix about my 30-day challenges, is that I need to like film myself more while I'm in them and I'm doing them. Sort of like what I did for the Japanese learning with AI. I filmed like the majority of the days that I actually practiced and my thoughts regarding those practices. But for this one, it's like, I should have made some like weekly overviews or reviews with my state of mind and how I felt and stuff like that, that would have been pretty good. Now it's just, I'm kind of like over it, you know? I'm kind of just like, this is my life. And honestly, it's great. It like, there's nothing challenging about the challenge anymore. And I don't know, maybe that would change. Maybe if I do it for long enough, since I've only done it for a streak of 66 days, we'll see. It could get harder. But yeah, to anyone who wants to do something similar or feels similar to me or how I felt, like, just know that it really does work. Like, flipping the normal and just like detoxing yourself to the point where like you get your balance again, like, it works for sure. And I guess you could say I have an addictive personality considering my history with entertainment. And back then I would also play games like all the time. Like when I was a kid and teenager, I played games literally like every single day, all the time. Like so much time spent on video games as well. But eventually when I started doing YouTube, that's kind of like when I stopped playing games. I feel like that became the game I played instead. But I actually will probably release the video of me like deleting the last game I played, which was a mobile game, Fire Emblem Heroes. That game, I thought I quit for some time. I actually did quit for about a year or two. And then I opened it back up at some point because I was curious about something, and I ended up playing it some more. And I played it here and there. And eventually I actually played it after I got back from Japan as well. Like, that's how bad it got. Like, but I permanently deleted it by deleting my account, despite the fact that I spent so much time on that game. Like, and it's a gacha game where you get characters and stuff like that. So deleting it theoretically should have been painful, but it wasn't. I was kind of just ready to move on. And I think that's sort of like a key part to this whole thing, is like where you are in your life stage. Because again, for me, I'm kind of like, I feel like because I'm in my late 20s, gonna turn 30 soon enough, like I need to get my shit together. Otherwise, I just won't be happy with myself. And that's not something that everybody feels right now, you know? I feel like I could not have done this in the same way 4 years ago or something like that, because I didn't feel that pressure as much. And I do feel like for my life, I have a good balance of things, like the freelance work that I do, and my friends and my girlfriend and everything like that. And my experience in Japan, like I had such a great experience in Japan that I felt so fulfilled and so socially fulfilled as well, and fulfilled in my life, just experiencing so many things, right? And having good friends, still talking with them and hanging out with them occasionally, like having all of that makes this easier because it feels like I'm living a good life. Otherwise, I would be imbalanced. I would be stressed a lot. Say if I like worked a job I didn't like or something like that. Those things definitely play a huge factor in this. And I didn't talk about that as much in my main video, but I 100% like acknowledge and know that it plays a huge role in it. I feel like I probably should have mentioned it a little bit in my main video, but I kind of wanted to just keep it as short as possible and not talk too much in that video. For this one, I can talk about anything and for however long. I know it's like not a very well-structured video. I should have made better notes. But yeah, that stuff is difficult. Like the way, I mean, honestly, I was pretty stressed sometimes when I was doing all the challenges stacked together, like the studying Japanese, the 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups, the playing by ear for piano, the life reflections for 30 days. Like each of those things took a lot of time and energy, especially playing by ear. Like that's like, I feel like my brain is changing every time I practice it. And I'm like forced to take a nap after a practice session because it really makes my brain feel heavier. But either way, I'll eventually talk about that in a different video. But like having done all those things at the same time, including like the perfect sleep challenge and the water challenge, like all at the same time, it was at some days it was definitely very stressful. But I think at that point I was already like used to not watching stuff, that I would just take naps instead of like, yeah, because for sure, like I felt that feeling of stress and just not feeling well, and that bringing me to watching entertainment for sure. But yeah, I guess these days I'm dealing with it by just napping. That's kind of what I do. I actually made a video about that at some point, just like I called it stop, drop, and sleep, or stop, drop, and rest, I think. But yeah, that's basically it. Sorry, this was very rambly, but thanks for watching, and check out my main video if you haven't already. But that's my Zero Entertainment Challenge and just a look back on it, my state of mind on it right now. And yeah, I definitely should have recorded stuff midway and like right at the end of the challenge instead of 2 months after it finished, or 2 months. No, it was about 38 days after it finished is when I am recording this. I think 35 days. I don't know. Either way, this is the best I've got at this time. This is the best I can do. Recalling every feeling and whatnot. But yeah, that's it for this one. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.